So, what's the first thing you do in the project? I'm going to tell you another story, if you don't mind. There was this manufacturer of elevators, and they had this problem that the customers were not happy with the speed of the elevators. They thought that it was too slow. So they had many different projects, one after the other, to improve the speed of their elevators. All right? Then one day they wanted to start a new project for the same purpose, and suddenly someone went there and asked the magical question. Why? Why do you want to increase the speed of the elevators? And they replied, I wasn't there, but I'm just trying to imagine. They replied, well, that's obvious. It's better to have faster elevators. So why is it better to have faster elevators? And they replied, because people are complaining. Why are people complaining? He said, I don't know, because it's a small place. They are there, they don't have anything to do, and they get bored. He said, aha. So the main purpose is not to have faster elevators. The main purpose is to have elevators that are not boring for people. And then based on that, they changed the project. Instead of trying to increase the speed of the elevator, they put mirrors inside the elevators. And that solved the problem, because when people go there, they have something to do, they get distracted, and before they know, they've arrived. That's great. People even thought that the elevators are faster after they put the mirror inside the elevator. So, what happens here? I told you in the previous lesson that we prefer to set our GPS before we start to drive, right? But there are other things that we need to do before setting the GPS. For example, you need to see if you really need to go there. Or can you do something else? For example, instead of going there and doing something, maybe you can do it online. That's what I'm talking about here. That's about understanding the problem before selecting the solution. And that solution is your project. In the example of the elevator, the common solution that they had in mind was to increase the speed. That's the first solution that comes to mind, obviously. But the point here is that don't go for that. Try to understand the problem and then think about different solutions that can serve the same problem, solve the same problem. And then see which one is the best. All right. What I told you here is not really about project management. This is in another layer in the company, and that's portfolio management. It's the responsibility of the portfolio management to understand the relationship between the problems and solutions and pick the best solutions. So when you are appointed as a project manager, the solution is almost fixed. So why do you think I'm telling you all of this? I'm telling you all of this because it's still very important for us as project managers to understand what problem we're going to solve. And that's because the same solution can be used to solve different problems. And the problem that we are solving can change the same type of solution. Let me give you an example. Imagine that we are building something in two parallel worlds, and in one of them, the reason that we are building that is to earn money. And in the other parallel world, we are building the exact same thing, but our goal is to create opportunities for the future. For example, we want to get more projects of that type. All right? Everything else is the same. Only the problem is different. Now, you're in the middle of the project and you realize that you're behind the schedule. And you really should deliver it on time. So you think about different ways you can deliver the project on time and recover from that deviation. And you can come up with two different solutions. One of them is to spend more money, the usual way. And the other is to lower quality of the project to the minimum acceptable level. Now, my question is, which solution is best for which of these two projects? I think it's obvious. When you are doing the project to earn money, it's probably best if you're lower quality to recover from that deviation. And when you're doing it for the future, for opportunities in the future, it's probably a better idea to spend more money. You see, what happens here is that the purpose or the problem that we are solving can change the high-level decisions that we make in the project. And that's why we have to understand the problem that we're going to solve. That's what in principle we say that this type of thing directs our decisions in the project. That's about directing. Now, you can call it the justification of the project, the reason for doing the project. That's not important. What is important is for you to think about the big question. Why are we doing this project? So let's say you have been appointed to a project to implement a document management system. All right? Now, it is in the beginning of the project. You go there and ask people, especially people who have initiated the project, why they want this project. You interview all of them and understand that, for example, one of the reasons that they want this project, the product of this project, is to reduce the number of mistakes that they are making in the company. For example, there are usually different versions of different documents, and sometimes people are working with the older versions. That's a big problem and very common. So one of the reasons is that they want to avoid that. The other is that they want to just increase the speed of their engineering activities, because each time that people want to check different documents, they have to spend some time finding them and making sure that they are not using an older version, and that takes time. Now we want to have a simple system to give them everything that they want. That's why it is important for us to have it for this sample project. Now, you understand all of that, you extract all of that, and it's a good idea to write it down because you don't want to forget it, right? And also, it's a good idea to let everyone know. When you write it down and send the document to everyone, then everyone will know about it. And if there's any objection, they will tell you about it before it's too late. That's great. And in this process here, when you're talking to people for the purpose of the project, you may run into some conflicts, inconsistencies. And this is the best time to solve those inconsistencies. So you write it down in a simple document, very simple document. And while we have it there, it's a very basic piece of information, right? The reason we are doing the project. You can also add some other basic information, for example, the name of the project manager, yourself, and some other things. And it's a good idea to have a name for this document. When we have names for documents, that make the documents more serious. What is the name that you suggest? The name that the PMBOK guide gives to a document like this is Project Charter. So, one of the first things that we do in the project is to create the project charter, is to understand why we are doing the project, who's the project manager, and a few other things. We'll talk about them. And create the project charter and give it to anyone who's supposed to approve this document before you go on and set your GPS. All right? So you've got your project charter. What's the next thing you would do?